What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, a preview of the game, Arsenal against Leeds United, coming up this weekend. Special guest has joined me, Joe from All Leeds TV. How are you, bruv?
Yeah, good, mate. Doing really well, as you can imagine. Broke into that top 10 last game after we beat Palace. So, yeah, things are great, man.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that win. That put us into the bottom half of the table now.
It's mad, Curtis, seeing Leeds United. I know Arsenal to me is still massive. Yeah, they're still a huge club. So to see us sitting above them with a game in hand as well, it's like, wow, we've come a long way in just a short space of time in the Premier League, man.
It's crazy. Do you know what? I give huge credit to Leeds and Bielsa, because a lot of teams come up to the Prem, they go to teams, they put 10 men behind the ball, and they're trying to nick a point everywhere. Leeds actually try and beat everybody, and I think you've been a breath of fresh air for the Premier League.
Yeah, man, it is. It's amazing. Me as a fan, it's unbelievable to watch. Look, we don't want to get beat 6-2 by Man United all the time. Don't get me wrong, our fiercest rivals. That was tough to take, but ultimately we were having a go. He's made slight adjustments, earlier on in the season, spanked by Leicester 4-1, Crystal Palace 4-1. This time around, we beat Leicester 3-1, beat Palace comfortably 2-0. So he's making these slight adjustments, and that comes with time, doesn't it? But you're right, mate. Look, I'd rather do what we're doing and sometimes be on the end of spankings than watch Burnley week in, week out. I mean, look what West Brom did. West Brom brought in Sam Allardyce to try, nick games, and he had a decent result against Liverpool, and it's all been downhill from there, man. You're right, man. It is a breath of fresh air for the Premier League to see, I guess.
I think as well, what I've liked so much about Leeds is your recruitment. Like, everyone's talking about this Rafinha, how good he is. You bought Rodrigo's, Spanish international. Obviously, you already had the likes of Calvin Phillips and people like that. Bamford's improved. So the way you've gone around Europe and picked up these players, I mean, is that Bielsa? Is that the owners? How come you've been able to get those players?
We have a director of football, Victor Orta. He's very, very good at his job. He was at Borough, actually, when they got promoted to the Premier League. Roma wanted him, in fact, this summer. They tried to get him to go there. But obviously he stayed at Leeds. So Victor Orta has a massive part in that. He has picked up a few gems, like you mentioned, Rafinha. I mean, we only paid 17 million for that kid, Curtis, which is crazy, I'm under no illusions that he could be gone in a couple of seasons. People are already talking this summer, but I don't see that happening. But in a couple of seasons, but for a fact we'll probably triple that 17 million, and that's where we're at as a club right now. We have to speculate to accumulate, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. It is all about the recruitment. Bielsa's a massive part of that as well. Don't get me wrong. Like Robin Koch, who came, unfortunately, he's injured, German international. He did an interview and explained how when Leeds contacted him, Bielsa had sent him all these videos of his game and how he seen him adjusted into our team. And I'm not sure a lot of managers are doing that. So these players see this and go, wow, this guy's done a lot of research. He can really take my game to the next level. I'm buying into that. So it's a partnership, really. I'm under no illusion, had we not have Bielsa, the likes of Rafinha, etc., maybe think, I'm not so sure. They're only just going to survive. Because Rafinha came from Rennes, who were in the Champions League. So he's left the team that are operating in the Champions League. I know it was their first time. I know they were knocked out. But ultimately, it's still the world stage. But instead, he's decided, you know what? I'm going to go, to a team that's newly promoted in the Premier League. So it is great, man. They all work together. No player will come to this club without Bielsa's sign-off. That's why when we are buying players, me as a fan, I know it's cool because I know Bielsa's signed off on that individual coming in. So that's all good.
I mean, obviously, the last time we played you was 0-0. I think you guys outplayed us, especially in the second half. Obviously, Pepe got sent off in that game. And Alioski's been talking a little bit of smack talk this week. He's riling the fan base a little bit. Me personally, I don't mind that. I think as a footballer, why should you not try and, wind someone up? What do you make of Alioski making them comments?
Yeah, I think it's hilarious, man. Don't get me wrong. I said this yesterday on our stream. Alioski's one of them characters that if he doesn't play for your side, you hate. But if he plays for your team, you love. We've all got them, you know. They're all over the division. I think it's brilliant because they're gonna want to have a go. Do you know what I mean? It could work. It could backfire, bro. It could backfire, and maybe Pepe has a barnstormer against him. You know, scores a goal and gives him that look. But look, Alioski's a crazy character anyway. It's just in his makeup. He's pretty limited as a footballer, as a left back goes. He's not a left back, but any sort of advantage you can get, then it works. And let's be honest. I mean, Pepe was silly. Why is he even getting involved in that? I don't think he was playing much prior to that as well. And then he gets given a chance and then gets a red card. It must be so frustrating as an Arsenal fan and Arteta really giving him that chance. But yeah, I mean, it is funny, man, innit, at the end of the day. And to be honest, when I seen the tweet, I did have a look at the replies from Arsenal fans and I was enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is.
It would have wound them up, that's for certain.
Yeah.
What have you made of Arsenal this season? I mean, coming up to the Prem, you did get a bit of a bad one against Man United, but you've done well against most teams. Are you fearful of Arsenal? Do you look at Arsenal and think this is an opportunity for Leeds to get another scalp?
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't say I'm fearful, Curtis. No, just because I know the games that we have played you under Bielsa. It's actually the first time, I believe, that Bielsa's failed to score in 2 games against the same opposition. Because obviously he beat us in the FA Cup and the 0-0 at Elland Road. But in both of them games, for me, for large parts of the game, we were the better side. I think the loss of Partey is huge because that means we're coming up against Xhaka and Ceballos again. And each time we've done that, we've overrun the midfield, for me personally. So I don't fear Arsenal, no. I think the main worry for me is our record in London. We haven't won in London since 2017, and that was against QPR. I know that might sound silly to some fans, but it is just a little bit strange. It's a mad stat. But I've heard, speaking to a lot of Arsenal fans, that Arsenal are the team that normally break this duck. So maybe we'll be able to do that on the weekend. But, you know, I did think Arsenal had turned a corner for a little bit under Arteta. And then I looked, when you look more in depth and you see the teams they played during that run, they should be beating them teams regardless of how poor they're playing at the time. There was some, I think, Newcastle in there, Burnley, obviously Chelsea were woeful at the time. And then when you've come up against decent opposition, Man United, Wolves, Southampton in the FA Cup, you've been beat. So maybe it wasn't so much an upturn and Arteta's getting it right. It was more the level of opponent you were playing. So I think for me, as an opposition fan, the jury's still out on Mikel Arteta. So, and in the 2 games we've played, I've not been overly concerned from an attacking standpoint. We just need to take our chances this time and not be woeful in front of goal. And we found a little bit of form in front of goal. We're scoring goals again now. So I am confident, mate, if I'm being honest. I am really confident.
Do you know what's interesting is obviously Eddie Nketiah went on loan to you. You sent him back. I heard you had him on loan for the season, but sent him back early, which never was a good sign. And obviously that was to help or potentially replace Bamford. Now, Bamford's flying this season. And Eddie Nketiah, I mean, he hasn't even been on the bench the last few games. Me personally, I don't think Eddie Nketiah is Arsenal quality. What was Eddie like when he was on loan at Leeds?
Do you know, in actual fact, Curtis, Arsenal took him back. He wasn't getting game time. And it wasn't because he's not a good footballer or he can't score goals, because he came off the bench in games and scored some vital goals. He scored against Barnsley, he scored against Brentford. He scored some really important goals for Leeds during his time there. But he's just not suited to the system. You see what Bamford does. Eddie hasn't got that to his game, man. You know, Eddie's not battling 2 centre-backs, linking up play. He's just putting the ball in the back of the net. In all honesty, as a Leeds United fan, I thought he would go on to do great things. He's got the backing of Righty, and I'm thinking, we've missed the boat. We should have utilised him a little bit more. Bielsa wanted him to stay by all accounts, but Arsenal were like, he's just not getting the game time. It's a waste of a loan kind of thing, which I understand. But I've spoke to a lot of Arsenal fans, and they always bring up Eddie, and they're not sold on him. So obviously, he's, like you say, there's levels, isn't there? There is levels, and being an all-time goal scorer for the England under-23s or whatever it is, it doesn't translate to top-level Premier League football, I guess,
Yeah.
But he was talented at Leeds.
Yeah, just I think playing against his own age group is where he's really thrived. But going into men's football, I mean, the Championship is a hard league for a striker, man. It's a tough division. Who's been your standout players this season? Who do Arsenal need to look out for?
Obviously, the main man, Rafinha. He's been absolutely unbelievable. I remember he came on against Villa. We were winning the game 3-0. And he played a pass, mate. He only played maybe 10, 15 minutes, but he played a pass that just cut out the whole of the Villa team. And we almost scored from it. Had we scored from it, that pass had been talked about for a long time. So straight away, you're looking, thinking, wow, this kid's got talent. Yeah. And then as the games have progressed, I mean, I don't know if you've seen what he did to Gary Cahill against Crystal Palace, man, where he... Oh, man, he retired Gary Cahill. I think Gary Cahill needs to give it up as a bad job now, to be fair. But, yeah, man, he can finish, and he's got that aggression, Curtis. Yeah. Not where he's reckless, jumping into tackles, but he just wants to win. We were getting beat. I forget who it was, and we were a couple of goals down, and we're in the 90th minute, and their players are walking off, and he's grabbing hold of them, like throwing them off the pitch. Come on, you can just tell he's got that bite about him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's that South American thing, but he's Brazilian, so he's got a little bit of the shades of the Costa about him. Diego Costa, do you know that little
bite about him?
Yeah. So him, of course. Calvin again is vital. He picked up a knock against Palace. And Bielsa's just done his press conference, and he said he's touch and go. So we don't know if Calvin's going to make it, which then means we've got to put Strauch in there, and we have to move players around at the back. So that would be a huge loss for Leeds, because Calvin's integral to what we do, sitting in front of that back four. So him, and of course Patrick Bamford. I mean, I think you would find it very hard to find any Leeds fan. Some will tell you different, but I don't believe them, that expected him to do what he has done in the Premier League. He's on 12 goals now. He's got loads of assists. He's been talked about for England, man. This is a guy that in the Championship, a lot of Leeds fans, me included, would have said, sell him, get rid. And he's come up to the Premier League and adjusted perfectly. He's scoring hat-tricks against Villa. He's scoring some beautiful goals like the one against Leicester. His game's just gone to another level, man. And I'm buzzing for him, to be honest, man. Buzzing.
It's crazy that when you think Aubameyang's got 5, Bamford's got 12, you just couldn't accord that last year. But I've been really impressed with him. I have. He's finishing. I think sometimes, I mean, I know a few ex-footballers and stuff, and they say to me sometimes, if you're technically gifted, the Premier League can be easier to play in than the Championship. The Championship's a bit of a scrap in it sometimes, and the Premier League's a little bit more precise. You can get a little bit more time. I mean, they are talking about an England call-up. Do you think he's good enough to go into England?
I think he should get a chance, Curtis. My only thing, and I feel like I'm doing him a disservice because he plays for my club, but sometimes he needs a couple of opportunities, a couple of sighters, before he scores. And some games he can be found wanting, and other games he's on fire. I just think that's what might keep him out, is that efficiency in front of goal. Because if we had an elite striker, they'd be on probably double what Paddy's on, because he does miss quite a lot of chances as well. But that's not to say that I don't love him and all that sort of stuff. I just think I do think he should get a chance. Whether or not he makes it into the final cut for a World Cup or the European Championships, what's coming up, I'm not so sure, because you've got the likes of Danny Ings, Calvert-Lewin, Kane. You could have put Wilson in there, but Wilson's injured now, so that gives him more of a chance maybe. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do think he deserves at least a shot, because he's doing the do this season.
I know that when Mikel Arteta, well, we're still struggling now, but we were struggling even worse in November. People were starting to throw out names, and not that there was anything in it, but a few people said Bielsa, or they would take Bielsa. Do you think he'd be tempted by another club if they came in for him, or do you think he wants to finish the project at Leeds?
Yeah, I can't see it, mate. I had someone tag me in a post yesterday saying that Mourinho was next for the chop, and Daniel Levy wanted Bielsa, and we get it all the time. It's not going to happen, mate. Bielsa's sign. He comes for the project. He picks the clubs. You know, he's not going to go to an Arsenal, for example, where he's not going to call the shots. He's not going to have the final say. You know, Bielsa came to our training ground and demanded changes, you know, straight away before he signed any deal. He demands players. I mean, he was at Lazio for what, a couple of days? They weren't getting these players. He walked out. And I think at a club like Arsenal, there's too much politics. You know, there's too much of that going on where he wouldn't have it. And I think he's so bought into Leeds. It's the longest he's ever stayed at a football club. Obviously, he does this 1 year rolling contract. And Leeds is the longest he's ever stayed. So that tells me already he's really bought into it. The start that we've had in the Premier League, with a few more additions, we might not get Europe this year, but for me, we're going to be very, very close next, if not in, if we get the recruitment right. And by all accounts, he's close to signing, to be honest. But the thing is with Bielsa, he doesn't want no distractions during the season. So he will only sign it when the season's finished. So it's all noise. It's all noise. Like before the Liverpool game, mate, he signed the contract 24 hours before the first game of the season.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad. But we all knew he was going to sign, but it's just until you actually get him on that dotted line, there's that little bit in back of your mind thinking, oh God, because if he went, man, I'd be like, oh shit, man, because the level of quality, I'm not sure another manager could get out of these individuals, because we're more about a unit. You've got players there that were playing in the Championship. I think with another manager, with all due respect, a lot of them, that's probably their level. But he just takes players to that next step up, man. It just shows me as well that the actual value of coaching, man, and not always having to throw money at it, man. You don't have to do it, because Bielsa's shown that.
I think what you're saying there is, I've been quite critical of the manager Arteta this season, and one of my biggest problems has been when I watch this Arsenal team, I don't see any real identity in the style of play. You watch Leeds, you can see Bielsa. Same with Man City, with Pep. Even with a team like Aston Villa, you know how they're going to play now with Grealish and that. Do you? I know you touched on it earlier, but what do you think about Mikel Arteta at Arsenal? Do you feel like it's a good manager who needs better players, or are you seeing a struggle in him?
I think, I mean, stylistically wise, I don't know if Arsenal thought, especially with him being under Pep, you're probably expecting something similar, and it hasn't been nothing like that, has it? You know, it's not been nothing like that. And look, I do think he's been dealt a little bit of a bad hand just with some of the players that were at the club and are still at the club. So I scratch my head where like David Luiz gets a new deal and stuff after all the calamities, and that's just from an outsider's perspective. You might think different, but I was speaking to someone yesterday, an Arsenal fan, and they were talking like he had like all these centre backs, and I think he listed about 7. And I'm like, and this is at the start of the season, you had more players that you can actually register. And that's never good for fostering a decent, I guess, morale within the dressing room. You've had the Ozil situation. I don't think he's helped himself with his man management. You know, Xhaka, as a Leeds United fan, if he ever did what he did to them Arsenal fans, I would never want him near my club again, yeah? You know, when he was the captain, it's not happening. But the fact that he's talking in his programme notes about how we need to keep our heads, and then the same game he gets himself sent off for grabbing someone around the neck. Yeah. Pepe, you know, doesn't get given a chance, gets given a chance, gets sent off against Leeds. He's then playing in the next cup game when he's available. For me, that shouldn't be happening. This is Arsenal Football Club. How dare you bring this into disrepute? You're not getting any game time. You're sitting on the bench for a long time. I give you an example, Curtis. Pablo Hernandez, legend at Leeds United, has been, yeah? I absolutely love him. Maybe the pace of the Premier League is a little bit off, but anyway, he was playing in a game against Leicester. He gets subbed. He was petulant. It was when Remembrance Day was, and he threw the black armband just in petulance, yeah? He's not started a game since. He's not started a game since.
Just for that discipline, yeah.
This is what I'm saying. He was out of the match day squad. He's now come on and he's got injured again now, but he's making little 10, 15-minute appearances here and there. But yeah, he's not been in that match day squad. So that's the difference for me. And I don't think Arteta's helped himself in that situation. And you've also got to, factor in the fact that there's a lot of experienced pros in there that are probably thinking, who's this guy? Do you know what I mean? So unless you stamp your authority down and say, right, you ain't playing, you're going there. Yeah, I just think it's just, I know it might sound bad to say, but it stinks a little bit at Arsenal just with the whole, the players. And yeah, I'm not so sure what's going down because Arsenal are a huge club, man. They shouldn't be where they are. I guess I asked you, Curtis, someone's doing the snore. Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, sorry. One second.
It's what you get. It's what you get with live recordings, man.
Let me get rid of that. Right. Okay. I think my question to you, Curtis, I guess is like, if you weren't to get European football this season, as an Arsenal fan, that's not acceptable. I mean, you were knocked out of the FA Cup, which is normally your thing. So what's next, bro?
I mean, for example, when Arteta was appointed, Aubameyang's brother put out a tweet saying, "Why have you appointed a manager with no experience?" Now, I know that's not Aubameyang, but he must know that his brother's right in that. Right.
Yeah, of course.
So to me, he wasn't happy with that appointment. I think when you bring someone in with no experience, if they don't hit the ground running, you're going to have that attitude that, why did we appoint this guy? Some of our players have had bigger careers than Arteta's had. So it's not like he's Pep Guardiola, Zinedine Zidane, who was a giant of the game. And I think the man management is where he struggled because, he talks about Pep and how demanding Pep is. But if I'm a player playing for Pep Guardiola, I'm going to listen to everything he says because I know the proof's there. Yeah. With Arteta, I'm going to be like, well, are you leading me somewhere, that I don't want to be going kind of thing? Do I believe in your philosophy? So I think it's
a great point. That's a great point about you saying some of them have had better football careers than Arteta. I hadn't even thought about that. And you bang on, like, look what happened with Lampard. I mean, Lampard was rubbish, don't get me wrong. But he'd won a lot. He's won it all, man. And even he was, who's this young pup kind of vibe, you know what I mean? So it's always going to be tough, especially at a club like Arsenal that do have some big characters still there that maybe they should have binned off. Maybe you don't sign Luiz on another deal. I don't know. I don't know if he is one of the bad apples. Maybe I'm just assuming. But and like you say, he seems to have got his favourites. I know there's a lot of dislike for Bellerin, but he continues to play him. So yeah, it's just not great, is it?
Problems there. I mean, we'll finish off with a combined 11 and a prediction.
Nice.
You're gonna have to tell me your players because I don't know all of them. I know a lot of them, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So we'll just play 4-3-3, shall we?
Cool. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
So we'll start in goal then.
So we've got Ilian Meslier, young, 21. Distribution of the ball's brilliant. I remember that his first debut was that FA Cup game against Arsenal, to be fair, and he was just pinging that ball left, right, and centre. But he's still young, look. But Leno's played at a high level.
Yeah, I think Leno's completely shit until the red card, actually. But yeah. So I think Leno pips it. Although that keeper made a great save in the home game.
Yeah, against Saka.
Gutted about that. But, the defence and right back. If you've got a half decent right back, mate, it'll be yours.
We've got Luke Ayling, man. Luke Ayling's he's doing some great numbers as well. If you look at the stats across Europe in terms of progressive runs, progressive passes, he's up there because that's what our fullbacks do, man. He used to be at Arsenal as well as a young lad, so I think we put Luke Ayling in there over Bellerin or Suarez or whoever.
No problem with that. No problem. Bellerin, he's doing foul throws. He can't cross the ball. He can't.
That's criminal, As a professional footballer, you should not foul throw, man. You should be suspended if you were to foul throw, man. It's crazy.
The worst thing is he's done it 5 times. So if I'm Mikel Arteta, the first time he does it, training on Monday, we're spending minutes throwing the ball. He's had the audacity to do it 4 more times. It's like, come on, man. Left back. Who have you got a left back?
Jani Alioski.
Nah, as an Arsenal fan, I can't have him anyway.
To be honest, I don't think he gets it. I know Tierney's not fit, but Tierney's the man, and Tierney's good, man.
Yeah. Centre back. I know. Did you get who is it? Diego
Llorente. Yeah.
Diego Llorente. He's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, he's played about 15 minutes tops. He played against Chelsea and then started against Leicester, I think, and got injured within like 6 minutes. So it's been a bit disappointing that we've not had a chance to see him because he's a Spanish international. Same with Koch, German international. Again, he's injured. So at the minute, we've got Liam Cooper and Pascal Struijk, who I've nicknamed Virgil van Struijk. He's he's Dutch. He's a young lad. He's very, very good and someone. I mean, he's from the Ajax Academy. We picked him up from the Ajax Academy. He's a very, very good centre back. So look out for him. But then again, if Calvin's out, he'll play in the DM, and he's not great in the DM, man. He's just not. Yeah. He's not cut out for it. But if Calvin's fit and he plays at centre back, trust me, he's going places in the game. So I put him forward just for his potential. Yeah.
All right. So we'll go him next to probably Gabriel's probably the only centre back at Arsenal that's really highly rated. Pablo Mari's all right. We haven't seen enough of him. So we'll go with your Van Dijk player.
Nice.
We go to midfield then. I mean, again, all I do here, I put Thomas Partey forward and then I kind of back out the race.
Yeah.
Have you got two centre mids though who are good? Obviously, Phillips.
Yeah. Calvin Phillips and Matthias Klick for me. I think in both games against Arsenal, he's had a great game. He has been a little bit off form, but he played well against Palace. And I fancy him as well to have a good game at the weekend. I think for me personally, he gives the runaround of Xhaka and Ceballos. Seen that in the other game. I think then without Partey, it's just so good to see as a Leeds United fan because I think them two, I don't think they quite cut it for me. So I take Phillips and Klick and Partey. That would be a nice midfield three, I think.
I mean, Xhaka's been better, but still nowhere near good enough, man. And Ceballos is just in and out of the team too much. Yeah. So we go to the front three then. We'll start on the right then, shall we? Because this is going to be interesting. Because does Rafinha play on the right? Though?
Yeah, he does, man. And you've got your man Saka, right?
Unless we move Saka to the left.
So I had this same discussion, and I was like, I just can't give up Rafinha because he's just absolutely unreal. But I understand from an Arsenal perspective, you've got Saka as well. So let's put Rafinha on the right, Saka on the left, and let them switch in game, man.
I don't mind that. I don't mind. Yeah. Rafinha, man, I think he hit the post against us in that first game. Just a constant threat. Is he left-footed?
Yeah, he cuts in, on his left, He's scored a few good goals from that angle as well, man. He's a top player. To be honest, the fact that Tierney's out, and that means Cedric Suarez probably is going to play at left back. And if Aubameyang, do you think Aubameyang will play on the left?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think there's pressure on Arteta to bring him back in because he's been on the bench the last two games, and the fact he's on so much money, he may even play him through the middle. He might rotate him for Lacazette. We've got Europa League in the week.
Right. See, if Aubameyang plays on the left, Suarez at left back, like Rafinha is going to cause him all sorts of problems. Yeah. Will Aubameyang track back like Saka did maybe in that first game? I'm maybe not so sure. So I'd like to see that from that side, So Rafinha,
you would.
Yeah. Rafinha causing problems, man.
So through the middle, I mean, overall, I think you'd still put Aubameyang through the middle for what he's done. Obviously, this season, Bamford has been better.
Yeah, I think for me though, Curtis, like I get form and all that sort of stuff, but if you told me tomorrow you can take Aubameyang, I say yes, give me Aubameyang. Yes, do you know what I mean? Aubameyang's Aubameyang, man. So yeah, Aubameyang all day.
I mean, that's not a bad three. Rafinha, Saka, and Aubameyang. Maybe you never know. Maybe we could pick up Rafinha.
This is what I'm saying. You need to be looking at these sort of players, man. To be fair, I think Liverpool are interested, all this sort of stuff, but I just don't see him moving after one season, man. There's no way he came from Champions League to Leeds to then go. Yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean Phillips is the other player that I've looked at and thought, I'd like him at Arsenal. But has he had injury problems this year? I've looked at a few games and he hasn't been playing.
He's had a couple of injuries. He's had some suspensions as well when he got cumulative yellow cards. You can expect that in the position that he plays. But no, he's had a few injuries, mate, a few bits here and there. But that's what I'm saying. I'm still not worried about the weekend because he's touch and go. He will do everything within his power to make sure he's fit. So I would be, if he doesn't make the game, and what will happen then is we'll have to move Strauch into the DM, which means Elland will then go into centre-back. Dallas probably into right back, or Maeve and Jim. So it's going to mean a lot of changing parts. So as an Arsenal fan, if Calvin doesn't make it, you're going to be buzzing, because there's going to be a lot of change. Yeah.
Give me a prediction then. Finally, what do you think?
I think we will I look at Arsenal; they can be got at. Don't score a lot of goals. If we score first and are clinical and early, I think we can win the game. I do, because, like I say, Arsenal don't score a lot of goals. It could be tight, but look, I'm going to go for 2-1. I think we can do this London hoodoo. And if we beat Arsenal, man, believe I'm like that. Play that Champions League tune. We're coming.
You're going into Europe, mate. I'll tell you.
Man.
We're that team. We're like Santa Claus, mate. We hand out gifts. I remember we played Crystal Palace last season, I think it was, and they were going, Benteke hasn't scored for 10 hours, and within 20 minutes, ball got crossed in, Benteke scored. And you're like, come on, what's going on here? So, no, listen, the only thing I think that your attacking style will help us, because we're struggling against teams who just sit there in low block. You attacking will either probably mean we get beat or we win the game rather than like a 0-0 draw or something. Yeah. I mean, I see there you've scored 11 goals more than us. With the game in hand as well, but you've conceded 15 goals more than us. So, you score and concede. Yeah. I'm going to go 2-1 to Arsenal. I've got to be optimistic. I don't know what team is going to pick, because the fact we've got Benfica on Thursday and, we've got Man City in between as well. Obviously, no Tierney, no Partey. It's going to be a hard game because you've got a good. But
do you think Arteta might put Europe as a priority as well, looking at the current state of the league, maybe? And does he think we've probably got more chance there than me breaking into a top 4, for example?
I mean, I would. The problem he's got, Leeds at home on paper is a game that he needs to try and win. You've got to try and win every game, but realistically, next Sunday we play Man City at home, sandwiched between them 2 Benfica games. I would rest 3 or 4 players for that, and it's not the priority, but I think there is pressure on him to try and win this game because we just lost to Villa. So I think he'll change 1 or 2 things, but I think it will still be a strong team. Maybe Aubameyang comes back in, but listen, Joe, I appreciate you coming on, mate.
No worries, man.
Go and check out All Leeds TV. I know you won a football content award as well.
Yeah, we did, man. Yeah, we won a football content award, which was great to see, man. So it's all good. We're on 21k now as well. We hit that last night, so we're on that way to catching up to Curtis. So please come on over and
subscribe to me, then subscribe to Joe.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Make it happen.
Listen, Joe, I appreciate you coming on. I'll speak to you after the game. Well, if you beat us, then I probably won't. But you do a watch along on your channel as well.
We do, mate. Yeah, we have like a player. We do lineup reaction, watch along, live post match, and then we do player ratings at the end as well. So if you're stuck for something to do and Curtis isn't doing all, then head on over, man.
Yeah, no worries, Joe. I appreciate you coming on, bro. Thank you very much.
No worries, pal.